Hi, my name is Emeka Morrow, and welcome to Growth is Personal. Each week, I share insights and strategies that will equip you to accelerate your personal and professional growth and bring you conversations that will empower you to thrive in life, career, and business. Welcome once again to Growth is Personal podcast, your number one podcast on personal growth and development. For those of you who are watching on YouTube or who are going to be listening to this on Spotify or Apple, thank you for always coming back to listen, to learn, and grow. I appreciate the fact that you get to download the podcast. You also get to share and give us, feedback on what you learn from each episode. Today's episode is not going to be an exception to the other episode, but this is going to be a phenomenal one because we have a special guest today on the show. His name is Fikayo Aderoju. I like to call him. Should I call him FK?
FK. My mom calls me FK. Actually,
Really?
My mom calls me.
Okay, I just came up with that now. I was like, FK Fikayo. Okay, good. All right, so just gonna do a little bit of introduction of Fikayo, and then we'll get into the conversation. I'm excited as well. I know you are going to be excited to listen to our conversation today. Remember, this is all about personal growth. This is all about personal development, how you can advance yourself and take responsibility for your life and your future. Fikayo is the founder and executive director of Project Impacting Lives, a non-profit organization dedicated to meeting the day-to-day needs of people facing homelessness in Canada. Through PIL, which is Project Impacting Lives, he has spearheaded numerous transformative projects, including distributing winter care packages to 1,500 individuals in need, organizing school scholarship funds, coordinating toy drives, and ensuring the distribution of food to the Toronto community. Very soon, I hope that gets across Canada, not Toronto only. But his passion for social change extends beyond PIL. As an executive member of the esteemed York University Black Alumni Network and former head of housing for the Toronto Youth Cabinet, Fikayo has been an influential advocate for marginalized communities. As a captivating public speaker, Fikayo has delivered speeches at York University, McMaster University, the University of Toronto, the Black Diplomacy Global Summit, and the ONPHA Conference. He recently received the Princess Diana Award, which is the most prestigious accolade a young person can receive for social action or humanitarian efforts. In 2022, he became the youngest executive ever in the 25-year history of the Canadian Association of Urban Financial Professionals, where he served on the board of executives as a director of youth engagement and was awarded CUF's Outstanding Young Achievers Award. Wow. Fikayo has also received the York U Top 30 Under 30 Alumni Award and was named as one of the cover stars of the 2023 edition, making him the first Nigerian ever to grace this cover. If you're Nigerian in the building, give me a shout. This is our brother here, man. Okay, Fikayo's influence extends beyond national boundaries. With over 5 million page views on LinkedIn, you should follow him on LinkedIn, by the way. He has captivated a global audience and was awarded the Social Media Mogul Award at the Venia Peer Mentor Award ceremony in 2022. Come on now, with a standing ovation wherever you are, give give a round of applause for Fikayo. As we welcome you to the show. Thank you, Fikayo, for taking your time to be on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Before we jump into the conversation, do you want to just share? Is there anything that I did not capture in the introduction?
I beg. I beg. Now, I was telling you earlier that thank you truly for having me, on the show. I love the name of the podcast, Growth is Personal, right? And I think there's a lot to unpack from that. But I'm just like, wow, I'm truly honored that you reached out to me and wanted me to be on the podcast. But more than that, the way the host of this podcast, Emeka, takes this podcast and is so professional with it, and he takes it very seriously, and I admire that, and I'm super happy to be on.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Fikayo. We're going to go straight into the conversation. Share a personal journey, because when we talk about
Mm,
personal growth, where you are today,
mm,
we want. I try to get a picture of where you've been and where you're coming
mm,
from, right? So, can you share your journey and what was the pivotal moment that led to you becoming a champion in your field and becoming a force for change? Because truly, you're a force for change in your community. Like the things you do, the people you inspire, even beyond the boundaries or Toronto,
mm.
across Canada, you are impacting life. So what
Mhm.
has been your personal journey, and what was the thing that spurred you into championing this and becoming a force in your field?
Okay, thank you. Um, I will start from the beginning. So I've told Emeka, I'm not going to do this podcast like how I normally do other podcasts. I'm really going to just like start from the beginning and actually like tell you how. So the truth is, okay, I was born and raised in Nigeria. I come from a comfortable family in Nigeria, right? Comfortable family. Um, my parents sent me to Canada, right? Everything well and good. Now, I actually wanted to be an architect when I was in Nigeria, because my dad would take me to like sites and real estate construction, things like that. So I wanted to be an architect, and then I came here, and the craziest thing is I said that okay, and I got into architectural schools here, right?
Mm,
But I was like, if you give me $5 million to draw whatever these architectural things, to be honest, I wouldn't, because like it's not something I envision myself doing for the rest of my life,
mm,
right? So I applied to 10 schools, got into architecture into like 8 of them, and then I just put York University economics, right? And it was just like a backup. It was just like, I know I'm going to get into architecture, but let me just put York University economics. So I did that. By the time I um realized that, oh, I want to actually not do architecture anymore, decided to go into York University, right? And then I started going to York University. Now York University was my dream school, right? That was my dream uni. I just love the balance of school academics, right? But also extracurricular activities, because I know York has a good standing in both. And I
mm,
believe, and if there's any students listening to this, right, you should get that mixture of both, even while you're in uni, right? Because you don't only want to be strong academically, that's very, very important. And I'm an advocate for that. But you also want to be strong, right, in public speaking. You also want to be strong in debating. You also want to be strong in other things. You also want to be strong in interpersonal skills. That's very important, right?
mm,
So I wanted that from, and I knew York had that. So that's why I decided, okay, I want to go to York. Now, here's the craziest thing: York didn't give me admission,
mm,
right? So I had to call them, right? And I told them that, like this is the uni I want to go to. If York didn't answer me, I was going to have to go to Guelph, University of Guelph,
mm,
right? And I told York that I beg, right? Like, and I can remember calling the guidance counselor and things like that. And I think it was admissions officer or something like that. And finally, they gave me business and society. So I went into first year business and society, switched to economics in my second year,
mm,
right? Then I was, doing like the whole school thing. I'll model things like that, still take pictures because I enjoy like modeling. I like fashion, things like that.
mhm,
So there was so I was in residence, right? And I can remember being on the phone call with my mom, and my mom telling me that, oh, like she gave me the name Project Impacting Lives, right? And she's always been doing like skill empowerment and skill acquisition things for like women. in Nigeria. So I've grown up around that, right? And then in this in during that moment, right, she gave me that, oh, that Project Impacting Lives name, right? So in when I was in residence, I was like, okay, like let's do that. So I always used to do like birthdays, right? So like 18-year-old birthday, 19-year-old birthday, like I would have people come to the house and just party, right? My 20th birthday, God gave me inspiration of doing something. So I personally wanted to do something different, but God gave me that inspiration of going to distribute stuff on the streets. And I was like, okay, like that's cool. Just came back from Niagara Falls with my friends, and we distributed like bananas, tangerine, just went to Walmart and Freshco and things like that. And it wasn't, oh, let's start an organization. It was, let's just support people. Like, because we would come downtown and see people with no socks and no gloves and things like that. So I was like, okay, let's help out. Then the next year, I ended up on my friend's couch, right? I ended up on my friend's couch, and that I personally feel was a pivotal moment in my life, because up until then, I don't think, like, everything was just like normal, like regular. So there was no real like shift like that. But that for me made me have a lot of empathy for a lot of people, because it made me realize that, wow, the people on the streets, how do they shower? How do they brush their teeth, right? How do they even use the washroom, right? Like, so, and I started being very grateful for the fact that I could shower, and I still had a roof over my head. You know how cold it gets in Canada.
Right.
You know how cold it gets in Canada. So it made me realize those things. And then I was like, wow, God. So the craziest thing in that moment was when, imagine sleeping on your first couch, and then you are going to buy stuff for people on the streets, and the people in the house are looking at you like, are you, and even me, I was looking at God like, what's going on? So you are supporting people facing homelessness while you're on your friend's couch, right? And that's what we distributed, 100 of those care packages, and each care package had warm socks, warm gloves, toothpaste, toothbrush, emergency blankets, lip balm, right? In the care packages. And that was December 2020, right? And then we just kept on doing it. That pandemic year, we did it 3 times. We did it in February, did it in September, we did it December, right? And it was just rallying around a team of people that were passionate about supporting other people. And here's another learning lesson, is that there are people I know that they are cool people and good people, but they just may not be passionate about supporting people facing homelessness, right? And that doesn't mean they are bad people. That just means that's not their passion, or that's not what they want to support, or what they are passionate about, right? So I didn't bother trying to convince those people, right? I just focused on the people that I know. You see the why, you know the reason why we're doing this. Come on the team, let's go. And then those people brought on amazing people. I know someone that brought on like a whole friend group, right? And it was like 4 people joined at the same time, right? And those people really, really helped. Until today, they still help out a lot, right? So that's how it just ended up growing. I said growing. By May 2022, we had distributed 150 of these care packages, right? And we got funding from the government to do that. And then, but last year, December of 2022, we did 1,500 of these care packages, right? Wow. And then this year, we're looking to do at least 5,000, right? So the growth has been there, but the most important thing is, I would say, is making the decision, right? That and and it wasn't an easy decision, if I'm being honest. Making the decision of, okay, my life must make a meaning. Like, I remember I would, listen to Steve Harvey, and Steve Harvey lived in his car for 3 years, right? So I can remember, and I was going to school at the same time, and I was doing interviews. I was doing like job interviews. I was, looking for opportunity, and you have to. I can remember there was one glass table in my friend's sitting room, and people are playing loud music, and it taught me how outside noise can be going on, but I can still zone in, because and it's just survival instincts of, like, when you'll be shocked when you have no options, how you will make it work. When your back is against the wall, how you make it work, right? And another thing I tell people is that I use my pain, right? So I use that pain. I didn't put it to waste. A lot of people put their pain to waste, right? They don't use it. And am I saying it's easy? No. It's far from easy, but is it going to be worth it? Yes, it is going to be worth it. So whatever it is that you're going through, right, the truth is that there's going to be a learning lesson that could even build a track record, not only for you, but you can use it to encourage someone else, right? Inspire someone else. And that's the truth, right? And people resonate with stories.
Right.
People resonate with stories. So I'll stop there. I've spoken a bit.
That's a lot of lessons to pick from that, right? Like, so when you say you were in a friend's couch, like, was it that you couldn't afford to get your own apartment, that you had to stay on your friend's couch?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So because I was an international student, right? So going to school and working at the same time, I just, like, living expenses with, like, rent and stuff at the same time, just as an international student. And like, how much was this thing? How much were they even, like, paying for minimum wage jobs? Things like that. Like, it just didn't make sense. And the truth is, I'd been in situations where I was living in this space and I couldn't afford the rent, and that wasn't a pretty experience.
Yeah, this will resonate with a lot of the young people who will be listening, because we have young people on this on the podcast audience, and I know some of them are international students, some are immigrants and stuff like that, and it will resonate with them that even though no matter your circumstances, no matter what you're going through, that you can still make something out of nothing. You can still have a great message even in the mess, even though it's not a mess, but in any situation you find yourself, you can always make a way, right? So let's go. Okay, go on.
Sorry to cut you off. One thing I want to say is that, you see, that actually, it was so humbling, because, like, you can imagine, like, moving all your things and then being on, and it's just a humbling moment, right? But you, like, a lot of people would try to keep up with the Joneses, or, like, the truth is, I looked myself and I called my guy and I was like, I just can't afford it. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's not going to be like that forever, right? It's not. But there are some people that may be listening now, and they are probably working 9 to 5 just to be able to pay rent. But, like, if there's a cheaper way, or if there's a, do you get what I'm saying? And
yes, what you're trying to say is, if there's a way to cut your cost, right? Someone said cut according to size, but there's a way to cut your cost so that you can be able to live lean, so that you can achieve what you want to achieve. Do that. It doesn't mean that you are you're not
don't look down on yourself, or
look down yourself, right? And
people come and laugh at me there, like they were doing all of that, and it would happen because that's just the way it is. Like, people would come and see you on, like, they would laugh, right? But you know what you're doing. You know that it's not going to be like this forever. So that's, sorry to I cut you
Yeah.
off
Yes.
there. That's what I want someone that's listening to this, that to pick from this conversation, that like, it's not like now I'm renting a space and I can afford the space I'm renting, right? But at that time I couldn't, and I was saving up to do other things. I was chasing my dreams. Do you get what I'm saying? So like, it won't be like that.
That's a powerful lesson there. Yes, if it means that you have to delay gratification, humble yourself and take whatever it is that you can start with. I mean, when I came into Canada, I mean, it was one room that we could afford, right? And it's every level. At every level, you don't have to keep up with the Joneses. You don't have to try to grow, like Irene would say. Don't go broke looking rich. Because that's what happens. People want to look rich, but still they don't have the means to keep up with it. But because they don't want what people will say, they just keep hurting themselves in the process. Let's go into the mindset. So what are the mindset that has helped you to to be this kind of person? What are the mindset that helped you to achieve this level of success? What are the mindset that you had to develop?
So the number one thing I would say is putting God first. That's the number one thing that has helped me, right? Of putting God before anything you do, and seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all other things will be added unto you, right? And one thing that has helped me is this verse of David inquired of the Lord, right? And it's always like, Fikayo has to inquire of the Lord before he does anything, right? And David asked God, should I go, right? And God was like, if you go and you would overtake, you will surely overtake. And he went and he surely overtook, right? So before you do anything, I try as much as possible before I do anything, right? Like, if I take on opportunities, before there are some opportunities, they look so good, but God said no, or I've not heard God tell me, yes, take that on, do this, right? So that, I believe, is number one. But number two, to be honest, is just like I said earlier, make the decision, right? That greatness is your portion. Like, make that decision and then be willing to do the work, right? That comes with that, right? So don't just say, oh yeah, I want to be great, oh yeah, I want to, right? But be willing to do the equivalent work that comes with that, because the thing is, extraordinary requires extra work.
That's right.
If not, you will be ordinary, right?
Come on now.
So you have to, if you want to be extraordinary, you have to be willing to do extra work. If you're not willing to do extra work, you can say, I want to be great, I want to be blah blah blah. If you don't do that extra work, you will never be great. If you don't have a strong work ethic. Another thing is, be a continuous learner, like, be an avid learner, right? So that's true story here. When I was younger, I really wasn't like a book guy or reading books, things like that. But I knew I want to succeed. So I would watch interviews, listen to podcasts, things like that, of great people. And then I started realizing that all of them are talking about reading, all, like, and I was like they're all talking about reading. What are people talking about? And it was, I think it was Will Smith that just broke it for me, because like, I'd been learning. So I personally study successful people and great people, because I just believe, if you want to be successful, if you want to be great, just study people that have done it before you, right? If you want to do that same thing. So I started studying them, and then Will Smith was, I can remember, that was the last person I was like, he was talking about reading and learning. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to start reading. And I have like a whole library. There are books all over like my space, right? So that's one thing of just be, and now I'm in love with reading. But here's the thing, I know the books I like biographies, I like learning about history, I like historical podcasts, I like podcasts like this where people come and talk about their journey, right? I like educative and educational podcasts, right? So not only podcasts, like documentaries. Every single week I watch documentaries. Every single day I listen to a podcast, right?
That's right.
So like these are things that I believe of, like you're just constantly learning. Like yesterday I was at 3 different networking events, right? So the first one was the Elevate Festival. The second one was for Black founders, right, in the startup and tech space. And the third one was an insurance brokers bash, right? And I am not in the insurance industry. One of my guys is in the insurance industry, but I wanted to be there just to learn. And I learned about cyber insurance, auto insurance, home insurance, and I love that because I don't know anything about insurance, but I got to learn. And I learned about tort law and negligence, and if someone sleeps on your lawn because you didn't take out the ice, like they could sue you. And you know, like now I'm telling you stuff like I know it, but I learned not up to 24 hours ago. And that's what it is, of just constantly learning and wanting to improve and being humble, truly, right? Being humble, never thinking I'm there yet, never thinking I've arrived, never thinking, oh, I'm the big boss, so I know everything. No, just constantly put your head down and always be actively listening, right? Like listening to other people's perspective, right? Like don't be a know-it-all. Like, or a lot of people listen just so they can respond, right? But actually listen to understand what this person is saying. Because if you come from the perspective of like, I don't know everything, I'm talking to a maker now. He's going to teach me something because he's lived decades, right? And he has some experience, right? And he can teach me something. But if I'm like, I know everything, I may know it all, then you just be walking around, you know some stuff. But the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know that much. Because if I thought I knew everything, by the time I'm entering insurance world, you realize, oh, more, you don't know jack. Like, I didn't anything. There's so
man, come on, I'm loving this. You know what you're doing, like what this last point is so important, this part of listening, because I think a lot of times we take it for granted. I was talking to someone the other day. I said, if you know the power of observation, how you can transform your life by just observing, and listening also has to do with it, because you are carefully taking in what. And let me give you a shocker. This podcast, and people say, oh, sometimes you're asking me, oh, how are you getting sponsors? I said, I'm not after all of those things. This podcast was solely, and it might be a selfish reason, but for me to learn. I will shock you. I'm learning, because if you know the amount of guests I've had sharing with me their life experiences every Friday is a learning. Before my listeners get to hear or see or watch it, I'm already absorbing. It's learning for me, right? So, and I'm listening. Like the things you say, like this active listening is so important, because you can there's a lot of things you can learn, not from a book, but from just people's experience.
From people, yeah.
As in the things you share. Like as one of my guests, I still chat with him. You might know him. I'll drop his name on the podcast. Maurice Philogen. He's he talks a lot about real estate and stuff on LinkedIn. And if you don't follow him, you can follow him, Maurice Philogen. And the things he shared on one of our session or podcast episode, I still take it today and I'm applying it. I mean, I still sent him a message some days ago, say, hey, this is what I've done with what we did on the podcast. That's just to tell you the power of actively listening. So thank you for sharing that. And for those who are going to be listening, this is so important. This podcast is not just for me alone, even though I'm listening firsthand, but it's for someone there to get something, because the power of what you hear can change your life. Right? There's different when you listen. Like the Bible says that, I like the fact you're talking about God. The Bible says faith comes by hearing. It didn't say comes by reading. There's a power in hearing, because once it goes into your ear, it sinks into your spirit and your soul. And sometimes you don't even act on it now. It could be in the next 5-10 years. What you have heard begins to come up because it's a seed that's been sown inside of you, right? Let me preach.
Another thing, don't just sow when things are going bad, because a lot of times when things are going bad, you just want to relax. But it's when things are even going good, stack up, learn, like have those gems, have those quotes, have those words in your spirit, because when the going gets tough, is those words that will come and encourage you.
Come on now. I was talking with someone this week, and we said something like about this, like the things we are reaping now. I haven't gotten to where I'm going to, but the things I'm reaping now, and things I did 10 years ago. Some of them I did 5 years ago, right? But the concern about young people today is that they don't want to invest the time because they're looking for quick wins. They're looking for quick returns, right? But the power of long term, when you're thinking long term, is that the things that I'm doing today, right? A bamboo would not, in the next 5 years, you might not even see anything from the bamboo you plant, or 5 months or so. But once it starts coming out, it goes high and stands. No matter the wind, it will stand firm on the ground.
And another thing, just to add on to that, is that when you plant that bamboo for the 5 months, it may look like nothing is going to come out from, like, I planted you 5 months, nothing is going to, but when it starts going, you can't stop it.
Yes.
Right? So a lot of people that are listening need to understand that when you are planted, right, there's a season for a time to grow and to sprout and to blossom, right? Don't despise your days of little beginnings. Don't despise your days of, like, oh, you've planted, you are watering. Nobody is seeing that process. But your profiting will be eminent to all. But wait for that season, right? Don't be like, oh, see me, like, yo, see me. They will see you. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, don't be in a haste for people to, like, notice you or see you. It will happen, right? As far as you are going through the due process, as far as you are doing the right things, it's going to happen, right? So there's no need to rush seasons, and there's no need to compare what you are doing now with what someone else has done 10 years ago, right? Because someone else may have done something and has 20 years of experience. I was talking with an insurance broker yesterday. I asked him how many years of experience. 20 years of experience. Imagine me if I was trying to be an insurance broker and I'm comparing myself with someone that has 20 years of experience. Like, you, bro, how? That doesn't even make any sense. And that's what including me sometimes, right? I'm not even saying them. Sometimes you be comparing, and if you compare yourself, you end up being sad, right? Because comparison is a thief of joy. That's the truth, right? Like, your joy gets sucked away from comparing yourself to others. So try as much as possible not to do that.
Good. This is a lot of gems in this session. Let's go into the leadership, because I believe that becoming an influencer in your community takes a lot of leadership, right? What are the leadership principles that have guided you in your journey?
So the first one, let me think. Leadership principles. Okay.
And I mean, you shared already some of them. I know, when you talk about taking decisions, it's one, like you have to take a decision, right? Make a decision and make the move. That's one, right? Are there other ones you want to add to that?
There are definitely other ones, but I wanted to think very well before I shared. So the first one I would say is leading by example. Now, the thing is that, and I actually got this from Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan said that I will never ask you to do something that I won't be able to do. If I'm telling you to do something, it's because I have done it and I am willing to do it as well, right? So, and I got that from Michael Jordan. So even on the PIL team, right, up until a few months ago, I was still the one posting on social media. I still submitted a grant yesterday. Like, I don't put myself as I am the executive director, I am the founder. Yes, you are that, and everybody knows you are that, but get into the weeds with the people and don't put yourself on a pedestal. But the second thing is that always be looking to encourage and inspire the people, right? Remind them of the why of why you're doing whatever it is you're doing so often. I think that's your number one role, actually, right? Of constantly remind them. So at PIL, I tell people that you see the people on the streets, right? You see the people that are going through these issues, right? Now, we are not in the position to get them off the streets, but our role is to show them that we love them. Our role is to show them that we respect them. Our role is to show them that we care about them. And that's why we're giving our winter care packages, right? And we call them instruments of love, because we show that we love and we care about them with these care packages. So I'm constantly reminding the team of why we're doing these things, right? So you don't, it could be in leadership, it could be in business, it could be in academics. Regardless of whatever you're leading, you have to tell the team and constantly remind them as a leader, why is it that you're doing the things you're doing? So always be looking to give value as well. You know, like there was someone I reached out to on the team today, and we were talking about some PIL stuff, but I also asked her about her school, because I know she's in school. And she said, thank you for asking, right? And the way she responded, it allowed me to know that it meant a lot to her, right? So as a leader, I also feel that you should show love and don't just care about them as, oh, they are the coordinator in your company, they are the coordinator in your team. They have a life outside your company, they have a life outside your team. Ask about that life. Ask about, like, how is family, right? Like, how is actually show genuine care towards them, like actually care about them, right? Like, and I'm not saying you need to be best of friends and go on dinner every single day, but actually like show care, right? Like actually like show love. And like, for example, I just asked about school, like how is school, how is that going? Because I know it's September, school just started, right? Like, how is that going? Do you get what I'm saying? So I think those are very, very important things, right? But also on the flip side, I'll also say I spoke about active listening before, but as a leader, you need that more than ever, right? So as a leader, your job is not to be the loudest voice in the room, to be honest. Your job is to guide the conversation to make sure you reach the goal, right? You don't even need to be the one speaking all the time, to be honest, right? And I had to learn that, because honestly, and I'm just being frank on this podcast, initially, I really thought as a leader, you're the one that should be doing all the talking, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm like, nah, like I need to, sometimes I'm a fly on the wall and just guiding sometimes I'm guiding the conversations through questions, right? I'm like, oh, what do you think about that? Oh, what's your opinion on that? Oh, how do you feel about this? Right? So I'm not even telling you necessarily even what to do. I'm just even getting insights and seeing what your opinion is on things, right? And until we reach the right goal. But another thing as a leader is, because when you are leading a team, sometimes there's conflict, right? So you need to make sure you always listen to both sides of the story, right? So make sure that you do not only listen to one side and you neglect another side. Make sure you also listen to both sides of the story. But also as a leader, you need to show dedication, because nobody is going to want to follow you. Nobody is going to want to everybody, honestly, everybody wants to say that's my leader. Do you get what I'm saying? Everybody wants to say that's my president, that's my CEO. Everybody wants to be proud of their leader, right? But when you're always slacking off, you're always late to meetings, you never show up, you don't really even show genuine care towards the team or towards what you're doing, then how do you expect the team to be? Like, everybody else is just going to be like, doesn't seem like you care that much. So who are we to care? Like, if you don't care and you are the one that started it, then will I care more than you, right? So by the time you show genuine like dedication, commitment, that is also very important, regardless of, because there's sometimes where people may not even be as passionate as you about something, right? Don't stress about that. Focus on the people that are passionate about it, and don't try and convince people to be passionate about something, right? There are people that resonate with what you're doing, right? Bring those people on the team, right? Because the more you know, it's like if you have a product, right? And you, why am I going into sales right now? if you have a product and you, I used to be a sales guy before. If you have a product and you know you like the product and you think the product is good, now there's some people that definitely would really like that product, but there's some people that will be like, it's not that good, right? Instead of trying to convince those people, because those people also drain your energy, because I'm like, you are actively trying to convince them. Go for the people that are like, wow, I think this is amazing. I think this is great. I would love to get this, right? And I took that same principle towards leadership of I'm not going to be looking for people and chasing people. At PIL, we don't know what to do with volunteers problem, as opposed to we are looking for volunteers problem, right? Because we're trying to, and we're bringing people on that are like, we love what you do, we want to do what you do, right? We want to be a part of what you do, as opposed to trying to get everybody that you know is out there and be like, you should volunteer with us. No, you should volunteer with us because you understand and you know and you love supporting other people and supporting your community, not everybody. So
great one there. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of gems you just dropped. Let's shift the conversation to community now. So many of our listeners may be looking to make meaningful impacts in their communities, and you've been doing phenomenal work in your community. What advice would you have for someone who's just starting to make a difference and may not even know where to begin? Like, how did you start yours?
So the first thing I would say is, what piques your interest like the most, like what cause, right? So for me is homelessness, but even right now is unemployment, right? There's a lot of people that are unemployed and looking for opportunities, and I'm realizing that how do you curb or support people facing homelessness? You help them get a job. So that's the next phase of what I've started looking into. But yeah, like, these are issues like, they keep me up at night. I'm thinking, I'm not keep me up at night like I'm worried. No, they keep me up at night of God is giving me ideas. I'm writing stuff down. Like, it gets me excited. What is that for you? For some people, it may be climate change. For some people, it may be gender inequality. For some people, it may be trying to optimize an AI system in a part of Amazon. Or some people, it may just be different. What is that thing for you, right? That's the first step. Figure out that thing that like you are so passionate about, because everybody is interested in something, right? Or is it like there's something that for some people, hopelessness, that's not their zone, and that is fine. Video games optimization may be your zone, right? Something else may be your zone, like baking, cooking, like something else may be your zone. Figure out that zone. That's the first thing. And then the second thing I would say, to be honest, is to make sure you do a small case study in that thing. So you can learn all of that stuff, but actually go out and do something about it. Right? So if you want to make an impact in your community, right, go out and actually, you see people, they don't have sweaters, right? Go out and actually help. Like, you see people are hungry, go to McDonald's, go to Tim Hortons, actually get them like a meal from McDonald's, it could be 2 people. You've made an impact because someone else has done nothing about it. They've just been wishing for so long. By the time you help 2 people, you start having the conversations, because if you just stay in your house, right, and you are so consumed by the thought of doing it, I'm telling you that the way we've learned the most is by actually taking action.
That's right.
Because how do you even know how to speak to them? How do you even know how to have conversations, right? The thing is, nobody told me that going to get the product and the packages is one thing. Actually handing them out is a whole different ballgame. The first time, I was scared. Like, I was like, oh, take this. You have to, as a human being, you have to have a conversation. Now, I know how to have that conversation, but 4 years ago, I was like, what do I tell you? What do I, so like, that's what I'm saying of, and there's no course on that. You have to actually go on the field, right? To give it out, and then you learn. That's how I did it, right? There's no course on how to speak to people facing homelessness. There's no course on that. Like, so
yeah.
Whatever area you're in, the second part is to get the things you want to do, right? Know that thing that is that fires up your bones. Second thing is to actually go and do it. Doesn't have to be on a big scale. It could be on a small scale. The third thing is to make sure that you are constantly seeing how it is possible. You're constantly seeing how this matters. You're constantly feeding your mind with, this is possible. People are doing this. Like, this makes sense. This matters, right? And then you could get mentors in that space, right? Or I had mentors, but those were my peers. Those, like, there's some initiatives I have now that I'm scared to do, but the people around me are like, you need to do this. You have to do, like, they see the vision, they get it, they know why we're doing this, right? So you need those people around you that can encourage you and see your vision, and like, what, of course you should do that, because you yourself, you may be scared, you may be like, I don't know how they will react, I don't know how this can happen, I don't know, like, we tend to overthink and tend to like, I don't know, what would this person say, how is this going to happen? But there's some people around you that are like, Fikayo, like, this has to get done. This, even till today, there are some people around me. Till to this morning, I went to do like a design for some things I'm working on. Me, I'm scared about it. I know it's going to be good, by God's grace, it's going to be great. But I'm like, is it going to happen? Blah, blah. But there's someone that I've told that I'm accountable to, that is like, Fikayo, like, you have to get this done. Like, think about the people you could inspire. Think about the people you could help by doing this. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, like, you're focused on the end goal as opposed to focus on the things that at the end of the day don't really, really matter in the grand scheme of things.
You shared amazing points. Like, first, understand the passion, identify what exactly sets your soul on fire. And the thing is that people neglect this. They say, oh, why are you finding passion? Passion doesn't. The truth is, some people have to start from passion. They just have to start from the things that is laid in their heart, and as they keep building on that, it might expand to something else and maybe become more structured, right? But start from there. And I like the fact that you mentioned, go get a case study, do something. I remember when I started this podcast, for example, someone said, hey, how are you going to get guests? I'm like, no, right now I want to get a case study. Let's get a 25 episode. Then I can start talking about guests. And guess what? At 25 episode, I said I was going to guess what the ones reaching out. And if I was a guest I reached out to, she said, Emeka, I have been waiting for your invitation.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I mean, I have people writing from US, writing from different Australia, just to be on the podcast. Sometimes I even deny some, because the values don't sync, right?
Mm.
So you have to go get case study, no matter how small it is. Go out and do it. So brilliant point. And the part of mentorship, or having someone that accountable to, right? It's so important, because sometimes you can't do this alone. You can't be in isolation and think you can get anything done, right? Let's go on to building a personal brand. An online presence can, help in this whole work that you do. Like, how have you been able to use online platforms to, reach out to people and build your own personal brand? Can you say something around that lines?
So for me, online brand and online presence has really been documenting, like, and for people is different. For me, I look at it as, okay, some people will take out the time and say, this is what I want to be known for, but me, I'm just like, I want to document my experiences. Why? Because I want my children in the future, right, to be able to look back and be like, this is how my dad was when he was this age. Like, there was how I was when I was 17 and 18, and that's on YouTube. And it's totally different from how I am now at 24. Like, it's totally different, right? And there's how I'll be when I'm 30, and there's how I'll be when I'm 35. Like, these are like, I'm growing, right? So that's how I want a lot of people to look at, like, personal brand. And like, that's a lot of grammar and a lot of, look at it as, there's how you are. There may be a 30-year-old listening to this right now, right? Like, there's what you've learned till when you're 30. Share that with other people. Deliver value, right? What you actually enjoy doing. I love encouraging and inspiring people. I love showing people that regardless of whoever you are and wherever you're from, you can still make something out of your life, right? So that, for me, is what I try as much as possible to do with my LinkedIn, with my Instagram, right? Like, that is my online brand. And for you, it may be something totally different. It may be, I have a passion for knitting, right? So don't make it complicated for yourself. Do your knitting. Show people 5 different knitting techniques. Show people 5 different sewing techniques. Show people 5 different ways or 5 different things I have knitted in the past, right? And show people, here is what it looks like, here is how long it takes, like, and then people know you as the knitting girl, people know you as the knitting guy, right? Now you've developed an online brand, but you weren't really trying to develop an online brand. You're just showing people what you do, but you were also documenting it, because now people know you for this. Yes, right? Now, if there's a knitting conference, they'll call you for that. Right? I'm just giving.
Wow.
I'm giving.
You made it so simple. Like, that's true. Like, document your journey, because I think a lot of times people just overcomplicate this whole personal branding, online presence, content marketing, sharing, and all of that. Just document. If you can document, and you are. It is up to you to know what you want to document online, right? Some people say, "Oh, I don't want to share my personal life." Nobody will ask you to share your personal life.
Nobody asked you,
right?
Nobody asked you for your personal life.
Like you said, I like the fact that you said one of the reasons, one of your why, is that you want your kids to be able to see what you have done, what you have said, your journey, and it inspires them. And that's the truth. Documentation, because I always tell people that as much as we live on this earth, the scripture says, occupy till I come. Now, that occupy, not, occupy physical space, type of real estate, and I'm passionate about that as well, but occupy digital space, right? Let your message, because I oftentimes picture, what if Christ was in today? Do you think he wouldn't document his journey when he was in Damascus or in Galilee? He would document it. So when you simplify the process that is just about documenting your journey, then personal branding becomes easy, right? Okay, let's to wrap things up, I just want to just share quickly what has been your how have you been able to balance your personal growth and community engagement, because I know it's demanded, it requires a lot of time and investment. How are you able to balance those so that you can still be growing while still giving back?
So, to be honest, there's no balance, in my opinion, right? So right before I came on the podcast, I was warming up jollof rice and chicken. I was listening to Apostle Arome Osai, like, and I was like, so, and right before that, I was like in the library responding to emails, right? Like, so, like, I'm not, like, my life is just synced. So I have the things like I do. Like, it's not a chore for me to watch a documentary. It's not a chore for me to want to read books, right? Like, that's not a chore. Like, it's not a chore for me to learn, because people make it a chore. They're like, I have to do this. No, you get to do that. Right? I'm excited. After this podcast now, probably going to jump up in a meeting and have another meeting at like maybe 3 or 2. But in between those 30 minutes, I'll probably be eating jollof rice and be
I like that.
I'll be listening to,
as real as it gets. Come on now.
Yeah, I'll be listening to a motivational video, or I'll be trying to read a book or listening to a podcast. So it's like I'm constantly engaged. I'm constantly being inspired, right? And that's one thing I want people to know, is that even when I was on my friend's couch, I didn't give my mind breathing space to be like, you're on your friends. I was constantly making sure that you're inspired. Like, no, this is not the end. There is a way out. This is not the end. There is a way out. Constantly letting yourself be inspired, be engaged, making your mind dream, right? And not going, wow, this is the end. No, because the best is yet to come, right? So that's one thing that is very important, of making sure that I've figured out a rhythm of, this is what I actually enjoy. So I do that. And that helps me with the personal growth, right? I literally have a whole routine listed that is right here. It's like, wake up, drink water, lift, do this. Like, it's a whole routine. It's a rhythm, right? And your body gets in sync. So I would tell people to take the time and figure yourself out, right? Like, take out the time and go, my name is Cynthia. What does Cynthia actually like? Right? Is it okay? I want to go to the gym in the evening. I want to go to the gym in the morning. I want to listen to this at this time. Oh, I don't like podcasts. I prefer audiobooks. Oh, I don't like audiobooks. I prefer physical books. Like, don't just take Emeka's word for it. Don't just take Fikayo's word for it. Like, actually take out the time, try different things and see what actually works for me. I've taken out the time to go, what works for, because people give advice on balance from their own perspective. How do they balance all this? But I'm like, you need to actually, as an individual, take out the time to realize what you like, first of all, right? What you actually enjoy, because it's not, you won't be trying to balance it because you actually enjoy it. So any small thing, you're like, oh, I love skipping rope. I love it. So any small thing, I'll go, my skipping rope is here. I'll carry my skipping rope with my shorts and my t-shirt, and I'll go outside for a quick 15 minutes. You are excited about it because you've taken out the time to figure out what you enjoy. So in terms of balance, right? Like, take out the time, figure out what you enjoy, and then go out and do those things. And it won't be like, I have to listen to that podcast. It's like, like, I have like 5 podcasts to listen to today, but I love it. Do you get what I'm saying? And I don't try and listen to different, like, there are specific topics that I know this is my zone. Not that I won't listen to other things. Yes, but I know things I actually enjoy, right? So I advise everyone to actually figure out, what do you specifically enjoy?
I think the word that bounced out of what you're saying for me is find your rhythm. Like, know what makes your life flow. Like, find your flow. And once you find your flow, every other thing will balance. Because the truth is, we try to bring all this stuff. Hey, this is how you do it. This is how you should do it. And we become so confused, right? Find your balance. Someone's asking me, hey, like, after this podcast, I have another session. And it's not like it's a walk. It's just because I found my rhythm, and I'm still building on that, right? Once you find your rhythm, life itself will just become, life will be easy. Let me use it that way. Now we'll go to the final three questions and we'll wrap things up. Number one, what is the worst advice you've received when it comes to, becoming the best that you can be, or even your community involvement? What is the worst advice you've received?
Some people say I should stop. Some people say I should stop. What are you really doing? Like,
or who are you to be doing all this?
Who are and I can remember there was a time he actually got to me. There was a time he actually got, like, I was like, oh no, like, are we actually wasting our time? Like, and people were saying, oh, you're not really like getting people off the street. Like, what are you actually doing? And I went to the people on the streets and I went to ask them, like, are these care packages actually helping? And the people say, yeah, like it's actually helping. I was like, okay, you should just keep quiet, because you are in your nice penthouse, you're in your nice 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom. You don't know what it is like to be on the street, and you are giving your own opinion on these things while you're doing nothing about it, right? Meanwhile, the people that are actually on the street that were supporting are saying, they're even giving us insight, they're giving us tips, they're telling us other places that we should go and support. Right? So so that was the worst. And the thing is, opinions are cheap. That's the truth. Like, everybody has an opinion because it's cheap. Like, you can just come out and say, but now I'm like, right now I don't even, if you say anything, I'll just keep quiet. I'm not even going to respond. Do you get what I'm saying? So that for me was, and I think it was a learning lesson, because it built a resilience, right? Because I'm glad I didn't just like stop when they were like, stop. Like, what are you, I'm glad I didn't just.
That's good.
Stop.
That's good. That's good. So the next question is, what is the best advice you've received that has, got to you to where you are today?
Best advice. Ooh, the power of relationships. That's been the best advice, right? The power of relationships. Over the past couple of years, I've gotten to, and I got this from my parents, right? My parents gave me that insight of, you may be great in as an individual, right? But the people around you, right, can help you get where you never imagined, right? To the glory of God, we get flown out to speak at different spaces, right, and different cities. We were just in Alberta a month ago, but that was through relationships, like them reaching out, your network. So that has been like very pivotal for me. I'm like, like, bro, there's so much your life can change with one solid relationship of someone that is not only is, there are people in your life that whether you win, whether you don't win, is fine. They are cool with it, right? Like, they are not disturbing you, they're also not trying to help you, right? But they are cool, they are just chill, and they may even be your friends in quote. But there are people that I have started realizing, and I intentionally have in my life now, that these people are like, if Fikayo, they see Fikayo is not winning here, that Fikayo has to win there. Like, you not winning affects them. They are very concerned about, like, and that was one of my guys. He took me to the insurance brokers bash yesterday. Do you get what I'm saying? He's in insurance, and he's like, yeah, come, like, and I don't know anything about insurance. So there are people, I believe, that you need, like, that you need to have in your life, that want you to win. Like Emeka not winning is a no for them. They're like, Emeka has to win. Because there are some people that Emeka will have in his life, and it's like, if Emeka wins, fantastic. If he doesn't win, it's cool. Do you get what I'm saying? But there are people that the people that need to be around the Emeka are people that are like, Emeka has to win by fire, by force. Do you get what I'm saying? So
that's right.
That's the people I have around me right now, of like, bro, and I'm the same person for them as well.
That's right.
We're always looking, how can we? That's why somebody would bring you into their own space, because you don't. And immediately as we got there, I saw somebody I knew that was the chairman of the Canadian Black Insurance Professionals. Right as soon as I got there, and then he touched base, maybe something can come out of, who knows? Do you get what I'm saying? But it shows you that having those, because someone else will be like, don't come into my zone, no, stay where you are. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro. I feel you, man. I feel you, man.
Having people around you that are like, Emeka has to win. He may be winning in that area, but in all areas, he has to win.
That's right. That's so powerful. And I hope that we have those kind of people in our lives. Like it's so powerful. Amen. It can change your life forever. Like, yeah. Yep. Thanks for sharing that. The last question is, what is if you're to give one piece of advice right now to wrap things up in one word or two, what would you say?
One piece of advice. One piece of advice.
And then put it more context into to a 22-year-old or 25-year-old now.
Make impact today. Make impact today, or make your life count today. Right? Like, don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till next year. Make your life count today. Right? Like, let somebody be thanking God that you are alive.
Make your life count today. Wow, that's a beautiful, powerful way to wrap this episode of our podcast. Thank you for being on the show, Fikayo. Oh man, I never knew we were going to take this conversation is going to take this turn, and I'm so grateful for what you've shared, and I think it's one of the most realest. I mean, I've had guests that are, my conversations are usually like this, but this is more real. Like, we have never had jollof rice in this podcast. And today we got him also. So I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people, especially Nigerians, because on our chat, Canada is leading in listeners, and next is Nigeria. So I'm really, so it's going to resonate with a lot of listeners and those who want to eat jollof rice. Ghana is on the list as well, I think, somewhere. So, but thank you for sharing, being honest, and being of impact to listeners on Grow This Personal podcast. I'm so grateful. Now we're going to have a means to reach Fikayo. Is on Instagram. We're going to have that on the show notes on LinkedIn. You can reach him on LinkedIn, on his website. Every other information, we're going to gather that, and that will be on the show notes on YouTube or wherever you're going to listen to the podcast. Now, if this podcast was very helpful to you, or you learned a thing or two, share with someone, share the video, share the audio, but also give a rating and let us know what you think about today's episode. Till we come your way in the next episode, remember, your growth is personal. No one is responsible for your personal growth but you. Stay blessed, and bye for now.
Bye. The best is yet to come.